Hello there and welcome to the second video on our channel. So my wife and I, just to recap, are opening up a coffee shop in Albania, which has the most coffee shops per capita of anywhere in the world. So we're not being unique by any means. We are American. We live in Thailand, have for 4 years. That's where I'm at right now in Chiang Mai, getting ready to move over to Vlorë. So I thought before we start looking for the facility and all this other stuff that I would go over the beginning stages of opening a coffee shop. For a lot of you who are planning on opening one, these are the things you're sitting around thinking about, trying to overcome any obstacles you could think of before they happen. You know, what are we going to do? How are we going to do it? How much money do I need? What equipment do I need? All kinds of decisions. We're going to go over a lot of things that I'm having to think about. And by the way, I've never owned a coffee shop before. Okay, it's brand new. I've owned businesses before, but not a coffee shop, and never owned one in a country that I've only been to twice for a total of 2 weeks. So the first question we're asking, we're moving to a city called Vlorë. It's right on the coast of Albania. Is what does Vlorë already have? So we were just there, my wife and I, for 6 days in that city. We were able to go to a lot of different cafes, which I would suggest you do if you're opening one up in a certain city. Go to a lot of places and see what they're doing. We made a form, and on this form, we had all kinds of stuff like, is there seating outside, inside? What are their hours? What kind of drinks do they have? What are the prices of these drinks? What kind of beans do they use? You name it. What size glasses? On and on and on. And we got to compare all these different places. And we did notice that there were strengths of a lot of these places, and there were some very apparent weaknesses to all these places. So that was our first step, is figuring out where we're going to fit in the current way that things are going in Vlorë right now with coffee shops. Next question was, can we do something different? Now, talking to some Albanians there, they say they like new things and something different. So we don't want to mimic what somebody else is doing in the country already, even though they all are packed and profitable, it looks like. But we're going to try to do something different. Now, poking the people's brain a little bit, what do you mean by different? They don't mind it being sort of American or sort of whatever, just something different, something to, it's not like everything else. With all those coffee shops that they have per capita in Albania, we also had to ask the question, does it make sense to put another one there? But I really do think it is, because everywhere we looked, all the coffee shops, I'm not going to say they were slam full, but they all had customers, at least most of them. There was a couple that didn't, but you could tell why instantly when you went in there. So right now we're kicking around what kind of theme or vibe do we want to have with the coffee shop. And it's really going to depend on the place that we find. What I'm hoping to find for a good, and I'm taking you with me, by the way, we're going to look at these properties together. I'm looking for the lowest rent I can get with good walk-by traffic, you know, all the things you would look for. I would kind of prefer only to have glass at the very front of the building and everything else, no more windows. Now, I know a lot of people say that the most successful coffee shops are on the corner and they have glass all around and they're on this big corner. Yeah, that's great. The vibe and kind of theme I think I'm looking for would be more dark, and it's got a lot of color inside, but it's still the lighting is darker, and we'll just have to see how this is going to play out. But it really depends on what we're able to find as a facility, and that will, I guess, dictate how we're going to do the theme or vibe for it. So that's still up in the air. I've also been looking at what kind of coffee do they like in Albania. So I'll walk you through the thought process there. So the first thing is I found out they like dark roast coffee, which is great, because so do I. So no problems there. They also do like Turkish coffee. Strangely enough, most of the places there didn't serve Turkish coffee. Will it be a big hit? I don't know. We'll see, but I'm serving it. Another thing is, where are they outsourcing their beans from, and how does that whole relationship work from the coffee bean providers, the roasters, to the actual coffee store? What I found is that a lot of big names, let's say Lavazza from Italy, they are working with a lot of the coffee shops, and from what I gather, the coffee shop owner is getting a loaner espresso machine and everything else if they use Lavazza coffee. Only danger I see with that sort of arrangement is that Lavazza and other imported coffees, you're gonna pay more for it versus buying coffee that's already being roasted and done in Albania. It's going to be cheaper, and we have to keep the prices as cheap as possible. The Albanian people are not rich. They don't spend a lot of money on an espresso. So we use espresso as, let's say, the measure of what they're going to spend. A espresso is 90 lek. It's just a little over $1 US. Not a lot of profit margin on there. So if you're going to import your beans and pay a lot more for your beans, you're going to cut into your profit. So these are some of the things that we're looking at. I've already been talking to some coffee roasters in Albania, but these are all things you need to think about. I did notice that some of the other drinks that they like in Albania, and it makes perfect sense, are things called Freddo Espresso, Freddo Cappuccino. These are from Greece, and what they are is basically iced coffee drinks. So I could see why they would be popular, because during the summer, and that's when all the tourists get to Vlorë, they all want nice, refreshing, cold coffee drinks. So we will be serving those as well. It's good to know what the climate is going to be like where you are putting your coffee shop. What do people want year-round? You don't want to be that place that only is able to offer somebody something that's needed only a certain time of the year. So that's another thing we're looking at. And we also are, well, when we were there in Albania, looked to see what kind of foods would be the bare minimum that we could offer in our coffee shop. And sure enough, there are some pastries that the Albanians like in the morning, and there are bakeries everywhere. So we're going to try to work with them, pick up stuff in the morning, put them in our place every day, just for an added value to the customer. So not only can they have something to drink, but something to eat if they so desire. So where we're at right now is, of course, I've got 2 realtors looking for a place for us to open up. That is going to be step 1. Step 2 would be some of the equipment. I told you in the first video, kind of circumvented some of that and bought some things ahead of time. Espresso machine, grinders, all that stuff pretty much ready to go. Still got to figure out where to buy tables, chairs. Am I going to get new? Am I going to get used? All that fun stuff, point of sale system. I mean, I can go on and on and on. And this is in a foreign country. I speak English. They speak Albanian. This is going to be a fun journey, so make sure you do subscribe so you can watch me in action. I will wear a camera on me if possible when I'm doing some of these things, so you can see what it's like firsthand trying to take care of business in a place where you're brand new. So in short, we may not have all the answers. As a matter of fact, we don't have any answer. We're going to learn on this journey. We're going to bring you with us, and hopefully we don't screw up too bad. And I'm going to say this in a lot of the first videos: if you are a coffee veteran and you have your own place and you see something, you have a piece of advice, or you see screwing up on something, please put it down in the comments. We would love to hear from you. And if it's something we can help you with, again, put those down in the comments. We will try to reply back to you, and maybe we can make this to where we can both learn from each other. But that's all I have for right now. And if you like it, please give it a thumbs up. We need subscribers. We're brand new. And we'll see you in the next video.